Growing up, I always had plenty of books to read. Now my family and I just live in a modified schoolhouse from a long time ago, so my house has always had a creepy, creaky feel to it. It used to be two classrooms, one upstairs and one downstairs. The lower floor became a primary classroom after the leaks had ruined the upper floor, but renovations were made at the house today. Probably why a lot of kids never wanted to come. Being an only child was, as you can guess, quite boring. Most of you who were only children will know what I mean. I would always go out and get friends, but just wasn't in a good mood at talking. So, my parents thought that books would be a good way to kill the time. I was only about 6 when they brought me home a bunch of school books from my childhood. Those were cheap paper bag kinds that you would see at the bottom shelf at most bookstores, with bright illustrations of kids riding bikes or dragons, or having adventures with their friends and finding lost treasures. There were so many, I wasn't able to finish them all. In our basement, we had a row of wooden cabinets below the counter atop against the wall. In one of these cabinets, I kept a vast collection of books at. I was able to read them after school every day, and still, they took my 6-year-old mind away to go a while to go through. Nevertheless, I loved it with a passion anyway. Eventually, I just lost interest and my parents had got me one of those new video game consoles. And of course, a bright screen outweighed the boring paper any day. That cabinet just slipped out of my mind from then on. I never opened it again. Days turned to weeks, weeks turned into months, and months turned into years. After finishing high school, it was time for college. Summer went by quick and I leave for university tomorrow. I had finished packing all my bags and my parents had just gone to bed. My car was ready for an 8-hour drive tomorrow morning, so I would have to go to bed early tonight. I walked down the stairs to my room and after gathering a sobbing hug from my mother, an awkward one from my father, I carried my backpack down with me, keeping it open as I trotted downward. As I shuffled the contents about, a bottle of water fell over the side of my bag and rolled down the steps. Going down after it, I hit the bottom. I flicked on the lights and saw it against the wall, walking over and picked it up. Then I paused for a moment. It had rolled onto the wooden cabinet. Curiosity poked my mind as I simply swung it open, and inside, I couldn't believe what I saw. Dust. Everywhere, coughing. I waved around to see if I can get rid of the thick clouds from the door's motion. After seeing it, I saw the outlines of what seemed to have gathered on. Naturally, I ran my index finger on the dusty surface, leaving a long line of color. Raising an eyebrow, I picked the object up, and browsing it, a small child's book had a picture of a very young girl making cookies, and above her read the words, Cindy's Big Bake. On the corner, a black marker had the name, Jason Keene, written. My name. Flipping through the pages, memories gushing back, these were my books I had so long ago. I read them through quickly, seeing how most of them were just 20 pages. After a while, I began to read some more books that I didn't even quite remember. Of course, there were a lot. There was no way I would read them all within a half an hour. They were almost gone, and then there was one book left on the shelf. Pulling it off, I read the title, Correct Classroom Behavior. My name wasn't on this one, and judging by its yellow pages, this must have been the cabinet that was before my family moved on here. Opening it slowly, I began to read the book. Correct Classroom Behavior, it said on the front cover. No author's name was given. I turned the page again and saw a bunch of students running around the classroom. Paper airplanes flew about, and spitballs were stuck on the walls. Above the picture, the text read, Children can be very naughty indeed, especially to their teacher, Old Miss Sweet Sneed. And on the other page, it showed a very old woman. She wore thick-rimmed glasses and her hair was dark gray, cut short and curled on the top of her head. She had a yellow dress with the pink daisies on it, but her expression was what caught me. She seemed scared. Her eyes amused the detail, and she looked at me as if she was desperately wanting to tell me something horrible, but she was just a picture. Turning the page, I continued. The next scene shows Miss Sneed sitting on her desk as the children ran about. Come now, Miss Sneed, don't be shy. Don't make these kids think you turned the other eye. Miss Sneed looked at the ground sadly. her bony hands resting on her desk, and his face showing regret. And with an extreme sense of half hate as the kid stood on the other side of her desk, sticking out his tongue and making faces at her. I turned the page slowly, wondering what she was so afraid of. This time, I read the text first. I'm glad I did. Now, Miss Sneed, take these safety scissors. These children will learn from cuts to blisters. Then the picture showed Miss Sneed with an outraged look, scissors in one hand and latching onto the kid's hand on the other. The child screamed and cried as Miss Sneed did something really horrible, her teeth bared in anger as she did so. Her mouth opened slightly as she blinked, taking in the page before me. It was disturbing read. Yes, but it was just still a book. I turned the page again. Great job, Miss Sneed. You're teaching prodigy. Now, this isn't the time you teach them biology. The picture showed Miss Sneed with her scissors at the ready, the child laying on her desk, and then she had did something really messed up. Now she was snipping the student doing some showing organs open. I obviously nearly gagged. Children in the seats were crying. Some were even covering their mouths, while others were trying to avoid looking. They all looked pale, generally scared for their own lives now. I gagged slightly at the sight of the child's organs, and that the teacher had opened up the child, and I hurried over for her to turn the next page. What great class! What a great class indeed. That class was last, right, Miss Sneed? It read. The children walked out of the schoolhouse. Some had blood at the bottom of their legs, and they still looked extremely pale. Some were hugging each other as they walked, sobbing and trying to breathe by using each other for support. In the doorway, Miss Sneed stood there, her face void of emotion as she watched the children leave, her dress splattered with blood. I turned the page again, feeling that it was the last one. It wasn't a page. The last part of the book was a photograph. One of a classroom. Chairs and tables were flipped over. The walls had rot on them. Paper decorations were torn from and peeling all over the walls. But it wasn't what caught me. In the center, a woman, a leathery brown skin, dry and cracking on her body. Her hair hung at few and loose patches of her peeling hand. Her lips had dried up, and her blotchy yellow teeth were bared directly at me. Her empty eye sockets carried a never-ending stare, as her eyes had rotten and fallen out long time ago. She wore a beat-up yellow dress, dried blood all over it, a few pink daisies here and there, and then around her neck was a necklace, which suspended her. In the marker at the bottom, her words were written, "Thanks, Miss Sneed. Your work is done. We learned a lot and sure had fun." I closed up the book, turning up the page slowly as I recognized my basement. I always knew it was, of course, my basement, but now I knew what it really was. It was the classroom from the book. Walking slowly, I took it all in. The school things were gone, and a bunch of junk was stored here, but the woman didn't seem to really have been taking her own life down here, right? Lost in thought, I didn't see where I was going and I tripped. My glasses fell off and I fumbled around feeling for them. My hand touched something that felt like glasses and stood up, adjusting them, and brought out my phone and looked at the black screen. These were not my glasses. What my reflection would show was a pair of thick-rimmed glasses, cracks on the lens, and along the rim was the name, Miss Sneed. And that, my little pretties, was Correct Classroom Behavior, a creepypasta. My final thoughts on the story? Well, it's actually been quite a long time since I last sat there and, read this story. I did not narrate this in 2019 or anything like that. I did not narrate it back then, but I think I kind of remember, hearing narrations of this, like, on YouTube. I think the first one was Creeps McPasta, I believe. It might have been Creeps McPasta, or it might have been maybe another YouTuber, I don't know. But to be completely honest, and I am going to be as honest as I can with this story. This story was a pretty good creepypasta, I'm not going to lie. I actually really liked this story. It's actually a pretty good concept with what this story is. It's actually pretty interesting. Take it by the fact that, the teacher would sit there and do some really messed up stuff to her students as correct classroom behavior, quote unquote, which I definitely have to say, I'm not gonna lie, when I first saw this story, it was actually pretty well made in detail. It actually was pretty interesting. So to be completely honest, I kind of remember, this story being, on, certain videos. I remember, reading this one. It's been quite a long time since I last sat there and did this story, which is I haven't narrated this on my old channel. I never did, so I decided to go ahead and sit there and read this story because I actually really liked it. Now, I first saw this story was on Chris McPasta's channel, and I actually found it to be quite good and well made. It's a pretty good story. I actually really liked how the concept went out and the story that the protagonist picked up the book and read. Oh my god. This story was actually quite messed up at certain parts, which I had to censor some of them because, well, know why. I'm not going to say it, but you probably guys can already guess the answer. But I really have to say, now this is an old pasta. I think this was written back in 2013 or I think it might have been 2014. I can't remember, but it was one or the other. I really found this story to be pretty interesting for what it is. It's a pretty messed up story. I really have to say it's a good story to not, don't get me wrong. It's a pretty good story for what it is. I really do find the story to be rather enjoyable at certain parts. I really do find this story to be pretty interesting. Like, I really like that the fact that, that the detailing in there was really explaining. Like, the fact that the person's house was once I guess you can say, a school. Like, that's really messed up, but it's actually pretty interesting and actually believable why that book was there. I really do like the believability of this story. That's actually one of the reasons why I really like the pasta. It's a pretty good one in that. So I definitely have to say that the story actually was pretty awesome. Sitting there, having, a lot of time and effort into the story. And that's really what I liked, is that there was a lot of time and effort into the story, and that the author did put his or her time and effort into the story, which I really, really like the story. So, I'm not gonna lie right here, right now. The grammar of this story is really well done. It's beautifully well made. Same thing with the sentence structuring and the paragraph structuring. I really do like the detail that the author put his or her time and effort in. Very good and well made. I really do really enjoyed the story. It actually provided pretty good detail. I really do like that the author provided pretty good of what the teacher did in there. Oh my god. Oh my Jesus. It's just a really good concept. I really like it. Now, I'm definitely have to say, I don't know who the original author of this story is because I can't seem to find it. But it's just going to stay anonymous for now. But if I do find out who the original author is, I will sit there and make sure to give him or her proper credit. If the author manages to find this video, I really hope maybe he or she does, then, and he or she could tell me who they are, then I will be able to, change the description to the author who wrote this story. It's a pretty good story. I really do enjoy it. Really good, well made. So to the author, fantastic job, and keep up with the good work. I'm pretty sure the author wrote some other pastas. I'm believing that he or she did. I don't know if he or she has wrote other pastas, but I'm assuming that he or she wrote some other pastas. So I might check them out if he or she has other pastas that are just as good as this one. So I guess with that being the case, that being said, I'm going to sit there and just say this right now, that this is just simply my own personal opinion, and if you happen to disagree with me, that is fine too. We're all entitled to our own opinions regards to these creepypastas. This is just simply my own personal thoughts. my final rating of this story, I am going to give this one a 10 out of 10. Good story, really good, well made. I really do like the concept of it. It's really well made in detail. I love the detail that the author put his or her time and effort into it. Really do think that the story actually did really well. But I really have to say, it's a good creepypasta, even though it's an old one. So, anyways, I guess with that being the case and that being said, what did you guys think about this creepypasta? Did you all enjoy it? Did you not? Also, what we have done personally to help make this story a lot better? Feel free to leave me know what your thoughts are down in the comment section down below. I'm the Queen of Lions. Thank you so much for watching today's episode, and if you happen to be brand new here on this channel, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, because I make brand new videos every single day. Do not forget to ring the notification bell to when I upload, so that you guys will not miss an upload. And as always, please roll the outro, because I'm out.